won another award.
But this one is better.
It's the Morning Dish with the 2019 Radio Personality of the Year winner, Stephen Phillips.
You paying attention to this, Packy?
And as long as Pat Malone is already out of bed,
then I might as well ride herd around here.
Well, giddy up.
And Packy Smith is still special too.
You guys know these demo tapes don't just edit themselves together, right?
Well, all right.
3 cheers for Stephen Phillips.
Y'all need to help Stephen Phillips out over there. Out the door and off the radio.
Here's Stephen Phillips.
All righty, folks, we're coming into you sideways. Hope everybody's doing good out there. We got Tommy Townsend in here with us this morning.
How you doing?
Everybody just waiting for that. I guarantee you, waiting for that. Pat Malone, you with us?
I am with you. That'll get my morning started. Do it again, Tommy.
How you doing?
That's kind of weird. That's just a little weird that Pat Malone wants to hear you say that.
Well, you know.
And we got the main man from the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC's done come in here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good for a little man. What about you?
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, just rolling right along, man. Just hanging in there like a loose tooth. Ain't that what they say?
Did you come over here to cut off their power? Stephen's power?
Absolutely not. We come to double it. That's what we come.
There you go.
Double the power. There you go.
Double the transmission wattage.
There you go. So anyway, if the show goes off during the day, we've got the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC fiber optic. So that's kind of what's wrong. But
Hey, Stephen, it's
What?
appropriate. It's appropriate that Alan is here today because in 1933, on this date, FDR signed the Tennessee Valley Act, which created the TVA.
And that would normally make this a holiday for me personally, but I came in to work anyway.
Good one, Alan.
well, you're here on the show, man. That's kind of like a holiday.
It's like a paid holiday.
Yeah,
That's great.
This might ruin your career.
I don't see how. Gotta help.
Being with Stephen may be like a nightmare.
Yeah, that's it. George Strait today. George Strait was born in Texas in 1952. How about that?
Right.
I like George Strait.
Shoot, yeah, he's great.
Yep, and he's rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody I know's rich, but me. You know how that goes. Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, and Waylon Jennings appeared in a CBS TV remake, Stagecoach. I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah? You don't? Yep. I remember that well.
Well, you're a Waylon dude, man. And in 2003, on a side note, June Carter Cash, they held her funeral at First Baptist Church in Hendersonville, Tennessee. That was a sad day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No doubt.
1980, Mount St. Helens blew up today.
Oh, I remember that like it was yesterday. You know, that's funny, you think about it being a school bus driver. They're teaching kids, I don't know, they're taking history out, but anyway, they're teaching kids history that we lived through. You ever thought about that?
Yeah, they are now, aren't
Like
they?
Mount St. Helens,
Yeah.
and then you had the Challenger explosion and all the stuff that went over through the years we lived through it, you know? So I don't know.
Yep.
If you think about that a minute, Stephen, most people have lived through history.
I'm talking about well, I guess you're right, smart aleck.
I'm sorry.
It's just that when Pat was in school, there wasn't near as much history he had to be tested on.
The books were heavier. They were stone tablets.
You got me a new co-host. Yeah. And 2008, Taylor Swift. She's the gal that they was mad because their tickets was $30,000 and people were buying it and then she didn't show up or something, right?
Something like that, yeah.
She's had her number one hit, Should Have Said No. I think we should have said no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should
I
have
remember
said
meeting her at the country radio seminar in 2008.
I remember that because that's when the law was called and all that kind of
Yep,
stuff.
exactly,
for
yep.
Harassment or something on you. I
Yep.
remember that. Yep. That was kind of sad. Of course, I got you out of jail.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You did?
What else you got?
Ray Dolby. He founded Dolby Laboratories
Right.
on this day in 1965. He's the sound engineer for the movies, Dolby Sound.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah. Surround
Yeah.
sound and all that stuff.
So all that stuff, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
1978, the final episode of Beretta aired. Y'all remember Beretta?
I remember it.
And then he went ahead and I think he killed his wife later on, didn't he? But I think he got off with it. Didn't he get off scot-free? What was his name?
I don't
Robert Blake.
Yeah. He was
Killed his wife?
I think so.
Yeah,
But he got
Yeah.
off scot-free.
I think he did. I think they never did. They never did find him guilty. They never did really actually prosecute him. he was
been-
a suspect.
You would think a good TV detective could have convicted him.
You would think, man, they can solve a case in an hour.
It could have been the bird. Remember the bird he
Yeah,
had?
he had a parakeet or something, didn't he?
Could have been the bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the final episode of Murphy Brown aired in 1998. I did not realize that show went that long, Murphy Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. My grandmother loved that, Murphy Brown. And what's the one with the little old lady that always done the Murder, She Wrote? Oh, she loved Murder,
Yeah.
She Wrote. So, anyway, International Museum Day. There's something that, I guess, who cares, right? Pretty much. National Visit Your Relative Day. Now, that's something that Packy can get behind because he's like, when he goes on vacation, that's the first thing he pulls out is a map and see where his kin folks live at. Hey, I got a kin folk that lives down here. I can go see them for a week and stay for free.
Yeah.
Paul Thorne's got that song out. I don't like half the folks I love.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I like to see them come, but I love to see them go, man. What a great. So anyway, you got anything else there?
I got one more thing. You know, yesterday you were talking a little bit about aliens and whether or not they exist. out
They
there.
exist, man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's an interesting one. In 1952, this professor from England said that the Stonehenge stones that are there,
Right.
they've been there since 1848 BC.
Okay.
Think about that for a minute.
All right. You probably remember them building that, don't you?
That's like 3,000 years ago.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't think aliens had anything to do with that. I mean, if you look at the way the structures are built and what they're built out of, I think Bigfoot built them.
Yeah, they could, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's.
Pat, get this. You talk about how long ago some of that's been. So Cleopatra, right? Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
2,500 years after the Great. She was born 2,500 years after the Great Pyramid of Giza was built, and 2,000 years before the first lunar landing. So that means that Cleopatra is closer to our present time than to the time that the ancient Egypt's early, like when the pyramids were built. Does that make sense?
No.
Yeah.
That's how long
I
they've
get
been
you.
there.
What difference
Yeah.
does it make?
No, you think about her being in like ancient Egypt, but no, she was looking at those pyramids being like, those are ancient even in her time.
Probably Bigfoot probably
But-
built them too.
Think about this. The older you get, the less things are ancient.
I'm with you, man. The older I get, the younger people seem they get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That guy died like 100. He was 110 years old. I thought, dang, that's young.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's young. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's jump to a break. We got Alan, Mr. Allen. Can I don't even. I mean, I hate not to. I got law laid down to me from Pat Malone. He's like, you got to respect this guy. So, Mr. Allen, is that good enough?
I'm trying, Alan.
That respect's got to be earned. This is early in the relationship, so
Oh,
you got a lot of leeway. Yeah, just call me Alan.
There you go. Hey, today is Thursday, and we'd like to thank Rose Auto. We love that place over there. So y'all go by and check them out. They've got all kinds of accessories, not only for autos, but cars, trucks, Jeeps, vans, you name it, they've got it. They're good people, and we'll be right back.
Now with more news for Western North Carolina and North Georgia, I'm Jeff Batten. Rainy Friday nights are often spoilers in our area, but as of now, Union County's high school graduation looks dry. Either way, School Superintendent John Hill says 170 seniors will march through the open-air football stadium tomorrow night and enjoy their biggest academic accomplishment so far.
These kids are resilient, and they're very intelligent and hardworking, and I'm very excited to see what they're going to do in the next 10 years.
Hill didn't have the stats on the number of graduates going directly to college versus those entering the workforce, but he's convinced that the school system's investment in technical education is pushing more and more grads toward an immediate paycheck.
As they grew up, they worked during COVID, they made money, they had jobs. I think they're ready to get out in the world and make some money, to be honest with you.
And graduation for the Woody Gap School seniors in Suches is 10 a.m. Saturday morning at the school. It's been a productive year for the Union and Towns fire departments. Union is in the process of graduating a class of trainees into professional firefighters. In Towns County, Chief Harold Copeland is in the middle of fundraising. The Chateau Gun Club will hold an event June the 3rd in support of the fire department, and a new group called Summer Heat is also stepping up to help.
If something happens to one of us and we can't pay our rent, we can't pay our house, our mortgage, or our electric bill, this group here is raising money to help assist us, the public safety here in Towns County, with that great group.
For Pat Malone and Harry Bond, I'm Jeff Batten.
Warmer weather is coming, and that means you've got 50 places to go. And you're still in love with the truck that will get you there. So spring forward with accessories from Rose Auto in Blairsville.
Rose Auto.
Bed covers, towing systems, steps. Rose Auto has what you need to do it right. Just up from 515 on the Murphy Highway. Rose is the only way to get your ride to a ball game, a fishing trip, or an overnight camping trip.
Rose Auto.
Type in Rose Auto Accessories on Facebook. We're next to Mike's Seafood.
Regain the ability to perform everyday activities after a debilitating injury or illness. Choose occupational therapy at Erlanger Western Carolina Hospital. Now accepting new patients. Call 828-837-7777.
You've been tubing in Helen, but now there's another option here in Warren, presenting the all-new West Tubing Company. Not your ordinary tubing company. From grandparents to little ones, young adults to teens, take a trip downriver, complete with rapids and clean mountain water, and stay afterward for fresh food from the grill and a full bar, along with live music. The all-new West Tubing Company in Warren, 6175 Old Highway 64. West Tubing Company, not your ordinary tubing company.
It's supper time at Blairsville Restaurant Grits and Greens. Yep, be our guest for breakfast and lunch Monday and Tuesday, and for breakfast, lunch, and dinner Wednesday through Sunday. We're right in the heart of Blairsville at 40 Ernest Street. And have you heard about our sister barbecue restaurant, Smokeout Barbecue, right next door? Smokeout is serving pulled pork, brisket, and pulled chicken. Come see us at Blairsville Restaurant Grits and Greens, and now Smokeout Barbecue. We hear that tummy rumbling, and we can't wait to see you.
Improving our patients' dental health one smile at a time. Dr. Jared Houston, Dr. Courtney Marshall, and Dr. Tom Mims and the staff at Valley River Dental live by that principle every day. Get expert care within a broad range of services, from preventive dentistry and periodontal treatments to dental implants and orthodontics. Or maybe it's just about perfecting a beautiful smile. So, if you're looking for a new dentist, consider Valley River Dental Dentistry in Murphy on Bill Hughes Avenue in Murphy.
Life's biggest moments call for unique and beautiful gifts. Let Davis Jewelers take away all the worry and indecision with a beautiful pendant, ring, necklace, or earrings. We've got a huge selection of unique pieces to make every special moment become an oh wow moment. Our experts at Davis Jewelry want to help you find the perfect piece for birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, and engagements, or just because. Find us at 417 Blue Ridge Street in Blairsville or davisjewelry.jewelershowcase.com.
Transitional care at Erlanger Western Carolina Hospital provides a helpful step between hospital and home. It's perfect for patients who can benefit from additional inpatient care after a hospital stay. Learn more at erlanger.org/Western.
The weekend is getting closer, and a trip to Bell Mountain or the lake is always a possibility. Make sure your truck is accessorized by Rose Auto in Blairsville. Bed liners, LED lights, and more. You want to be a pickup man? Do it with Rose Auto in Blairsville. The only way to go.
All righty, we're back with you, and we have got a busy man in here. He said he would come on the show today if he didn't have to get on the show before us. We're not going to mention the name of that show before us, but anyway, he said, yeah, he would be glad to come on the Morning Dish. Pat.
I don't think Pat's got his mic on.
Oh, bless his
Okay.
heart. There you go. There you go. Anyway.
How you doing, Pat?
There you go.
I'm doing better now that I turned the mic on, Tommy.
He's getting old. Yeah, he's getting old. But anyway, Alan, he is the head honcho over at the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC. Always something going on over there, man. Tell us what's happening, what's up to date, what's new, we're getting like 50% off of our bill next month and all that good stuff.
Not quite 50, I don't believe.
No.
But in terms of what's going on, the big picture is the same job that we always had. Keep the lights on.
Right.
But what's interesting in these day and times that I call the post-COVID era,
right?
You know, it just seemed like the world changed just a little bit. We're still trying to accommodate those changes. So one of the things that's interesting for this area is we've still experienced a higher than national average growth of the people that are coming in on the residential level. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 that's been sustained, 1.5% on there. We go a lot of months and hook up as many as 100 new places, and that's quite amazing. It's a pretty good construction load out of that. The second piece of the puzzle is the fiber. The appetite for fiber, as you can imagine, post-COVID, increased even more.
Oh, I know.
And now it's become critical to our infrastructure for people to be able to work from home.
Yeah.
That now it's as important today as electricity was in 1930. We needed electricity in the rural communities in order to be able to compete on a big market level. It's the thing that kept our children from having to go off to Chicago to work in the factory.
Mm-hmm.
They could stay home. That's the difference electricity meant. That's the potential broadband has. I can now have a good, sustainable job, live right here, go to church where my parents did, and be a part of this community. So that appetite, unfortunately, the electric system wasn't built in a day in 1930, and
Right.
the fiber system's not built in a day.
Mhm.
So we're trying to get that out, and that gives us a great deal to do.
Well, now that's one thing you're talking about. That, of course, I'm in the garbage business. You bring it in, I haul it out, and I got a lot of folks come in, and I always say, "What kind of work you do?" Well, I don't know. I just do that. I want to know their family history because I might be kin to them, and then maybe get a cosigner.
Exactly.
But anyway, and they're like, "Well, I lived in Atlanta. I can work from home now. I moved up here to get out of Atlanta. I can work from home." And one of the biggest selling points they had about buying their house was fiber, to where they could have fiber to where they could actually work from home because they needed that internet speed.
Yeah, they're 5 to 6 weeks out putting it in, though.
At least. And people ask that, and they are astounded. People coming in from outside, and
Right.
to a certain degree, even people that grew up here, they're astounded by, what do you mean it may be 7 or 8 years? And that's a fact. When you stop and think about it, we roughly,
Right.
we got fiber that runs by about 50% of our membership. That leaves about 3,000 miles of line area to cover.
You got me.
And that's a daunting task.
Right.
It takes a while to do, but we've got that in front of us. It's a little bit being compounded now. You would think now COVID's over and done with, but the labor issues that have come out of it that are affecting the supply and demand of things. Anybody that's tried to buy a car, we all understand that. Well, if you have trouble getting transformers, or if you have trouble getting other basic things that we need for the utility, that can be problematic.
Well, I want to ask you a question. Did Windstream not just get a big chunk of change from the government?
They did. They were very successful in getting a lot of grant money over the state of Georgia.
Okay, but they have no fiber here, do they?
They do now.
They are building fiber. They build a hybrid system. It's got kind of fiber background and sometimes twisted pair that goes or a lesser thing that goes to the house. But yes, they're installing that in places.
But I don't understand why they would award the money to a company that don't even have fiber when you got the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC already have fiber run. Why would they not say, okay, look, dude, you ain't even got fiber. I think we're going to give this grant to the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC.
I think, Stephen, if you're at the state level and if you're trying to be responsible with the government's money, then you get multiple applications to cover an area. Now, one of the things that let me have this opportunity to explain is there's a common misconception like if you want a $2 million grant, the government says, here, Blue Ridge, go and spend wisely.
Right.
It's not the case. When we submit an application, we try to group together a specific geographic area that makes us competitive to get that grant money.
Right.
We try to find the most underserved. Where can you go? That's what the government's keying on. Where are those areas that need it most? So we try to put together an application that does that. Well, lo and behold, let's say Windstream puts in an application for the same area. Well, if they say we'll match it with more money, well, the government's like, well, then that's the better deal.
Right.
If Windstream will put in 30% and Blue Ridge was going to put in 25%, then that's where the state makes its best deal.
Yeah.
So I can get that particular point, but to your point, I think in the structure of the deals, one of the things that's overlooked is money given to a cooperative stays within that community.
Right.
100%. And that means that the whole community benefits from that thing. They get it in terms of getting that infrastructure built out, and any revenues that come from that serve to keep the price down, as opposed to sending profits off to Little Rock, Arkansas. So I think that's one thing in that bond process that, or the with the grant process that I wish the government would take a little bit different look at. But nonetheless, we try to compete in that game. We've been successful in other areas, but we unfortunately, one of the areas that we were real excited about was Union County, but unfortunately, Windstream beat that.
I don't know, man. I've got Blue Ridge Mountain EMC fiber, and I love it.
I do too, yeah.
I love it. But and I kind of go back with that, you know, when you talk about that kind of stuff, trying to get stuff approved. I go back to Al Capone. He had this theory that you can get further with please and a gun than you can just please. So maybe you should try that. Just a theory.
It's possible. We hadn't resorted to that yet.
Let me ask you another question.
I thank you for that testimony, that unabridged testimony. But we do believe we've got a broadband all the way up to the house. We got fiber up to the house. We think it's a superior type of delivery.
Right.
So we think the product is superior, and we think the service is superior. We strive every day to make it better. Yeah. And if you've ever called tech support on anything,
right,
and gotten an accent that you don't understand,
you ain't from around here.
If you call, if you have Blue Ridge Fiber, if you call tech support, you're going to get somebody that speaks Southern.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't understand it. You ain't from around here.
They don't just speak English. They speak Southern.
There you go. That's the thing when you ask for, you know, it says press 1 for English, and you get somebody that don't speak English.
Yeah.
Like,
Kind of does, yeah.
So let me ask you another thing. Okay, here's something, you know, that we got all these electric cars. Everybody's bragging about electric cars and all this. Let's say in 5 years, which is kind of overshooting it just a little bit, that everybody in this area owned electric cars. Are we going to be able to handle that?
We're not, as things sit. Now, listen, that sounded like a shocking statement, but I don't like to beat around the bush. And you get too many people that like to say, well, if we did, look, the simple fact of the matter is the capacity on the grid cannot handle what you just described.
Right.
Now, there's a couple of things, though, that we got to take into account. Everybody knows this. If everybody goes out and turns their charger on at the exact same time, okay, I don't even know how you go about building a system and do everything all at once. If you don't believe that, go back to December the 24th. I didn't have all the electric cars, but when every heat pump hit strip heat at the same time, and not just in our system, but in TVA system-wide and on the eastern seaboard, when that happened, the grid can't handle that type of thing.
Right.
So that's one piece. If we figure out as we go forward how to stagger these charges and match that, that's one piece. Second piece out of the puzzle, TVA's committed that we're going to build generation, and they're trying to do that now. Now, we all read the headlines. You're shutting down coal plants. That doesn't make any sense when I don't have enough capacity. As usual, there's more to the story on that piece. They're not necessarily trying to shut them down to get them offline, but if I got to spend $50 million to bring that thing up to the latest EPA standards, or I can spend $50 million on a gas combustion turbine, and tomorrow, if I spent the $50 million in a coal plant with another stroke of the regulatory pen, they say, well, now it doesn't meet that standard. Well, where are you going to put your money?
Well, that's the thing, and it's the government red tape that's really causing
there's a lot of that regulation, and it creates a lot of unknown.
Okay.
But go back to your basic thing. At the end of the day, what everybody in the industry knows is we've got to get capacity, and we've got to get it online. And so there, and in the middle of that, we've got a great accent being placed on environmental protection, and so that kind of limits what that field looks like. I'll share this with you, we are actively looking at projects that would either allow us not so much to generate a great deal of capacity, but to hold in or bring in power at night when nobody needs it, and the system can do it, and then perhaps push it back on the system during demand. During the peak times, that allows you to get by with a whole lot more.
Right.
So we're looking at projects like that, and we're doing it in conjunction with TVA, with other utilities, and trying to get grant money to cover that, so that the members of Blue Ridge get only benefit and no negative impacts. We'll see where all that goes.
So, Alan, are you talking about battery projects?
This particular project is a battery project that we're looking at, and it's we call it a pump storage theory. You may have heard of Raccoon Mountain Creek.
Oh, yeah.
That TVA has, and it's a genius idea. I take when nobody's using power at night, and I really need to do something with it because it's causing me a problem, they'll pump water up into that lake. And then during the peak, when everybody's needing power, they'll turn it loose and run it through a turbine, and they produce power back. So you didn't make anything, and you spent more than you made. Nobody cheats Mother Nature.
Right.
But the simple fact of the matter is, nobody's needing it here, and it's cheap, and up here when it's expensive, and so that's where the deal on that is. Same idea on a battery. If I could build a perfect battery and charge it at 1 o'clock in the morning, And then long about 7 o'clock in the evening when everybody's come home, turn on the TV and fix dinner and all that stuff right there, push that power back on the system, then that means the amount of power that's got to be transmitted at peak is less. We buy less of it on peak time, and that would be the benefit there. Now, there's a limitation. You can only take that idea so far. But nonetheless, I tell y'all that to say this: we're looking into every opportunity that we can like that, and to make the most of the financial opportunities that may exist under some of these grant programs.
Right. Well, let me ask you another question that I kind of raised the question before. Okay, you've got the electric cars, and we have to pay road tax. Okay, so I'll buy tags and I buy gas and I pay road tax. So my electric cars don't do that. So is that going to fall back on the power provider? On that, do you think that you're going to have to regulate somehow for the tax for the cars?
That is anybody's guess. I will tell you this, that there are several states that have started to look into the tax thing. Believe me, the state is not interested in losing the tax revenue.
Absolutely
from the
not.
So you'll figure they're going to find a way to do that. Now, one of the things they've come up with is when you register your car, then you report your mileage annually, and they'll tax you through that. So the tax bureau would do that so that they would get compensated for the road use that way. Some states are come up with a different tax rate and are looking down that road on it. And then there's always the possibility that they could say, you look, for every kilowatt hour sold in a charger, then there'll be an X amount tax that's added on top to do that. They could do that.
Yeah, that's what I feel like is going to happen. That would be, like where they got. Of course, I don't know how you do it. They'll figure it out how to do it. But if you got charging stations at your house or whatever else, you know,
I would not doubt that, Stephen. Ultimately, simply because if I do it the other way, then I'll get tax revenue from my residents.
Right.
But if I'm the state, I want tax revenue from everybody who drove through my state. And if you think about it, if it were a road tax back like it used to be in the old days,
right.
then if you burned up the road running through Georgia, well, then you ought to pay something on the road.
Right.
And so, we could get, maybe the best way is through electricity. Maybe they'd do it per pumping station in there. But we'll see how that runs.
Yeah, that's going to come back on y'all, so I know that's right. Anyway, we got this impact, I call it impact fee that's coming through that they just approved in Young Harris. Not impact, what is that called? Franchise fee?
Franchise fee.
Yeah. So, and you actually dealt with that in 2018, I think, with the city of Hiawassee.
That's correct.
So, but now basically it's a tax to me. That's a tax, and it's just on the people of the city of Young Harris that's having to pay that. The rest of us don't live in the city, so we don't have to worry about that. But now how much is that causing more work for y'all, and how much are we looking at? Kind of how does that work?
We worked really hard with the city of Young Harris when they approached us about this to find a mechanism that matched basically a mechanism that we put in place in Hiawassee. What's important about that is we don't have to reprogram the entire world to calculate that and get that on the bill correctly. So at the end of the day, once we get it set up, then there won't be much additional issues with it. I mean, it's a little bit that we've got to handle, but it's not overwhelming. It amounts to, once we identify all the customers in the city limits and get that set up in the billing system, and then we have our billing people say, look, we need you to enable this piece of code that you basically wrote already for the Hiawassee thing.
Right.
So once you enable that, then we're off to the races. It gets calculated. We pass that money along monthly to the city. So we got the money, we pass the money, and the accounting part of that works fairly well. We write one check a month. And then as somebody gets added or taken away in the city limits, then we've got to do that account by account piece of maintenance. But once you get in the routine of that, then you could do that. So it's not overwhelming to us.
Well, that's one thing though. You don't see a dime of that. That's just what is that fee? What is that?
The franchise fee, as you read it, is the city, and we believe that the law has allowed the city the right to charge for utilization of its right-of-ways, its city public right-of-ways, okay? They own those, they maintain them, and the government says they have a right to give access to them to who they wish and charge for that thing. And so they have the right to use the franchise fee to charge for the access to those rights-of-way. And since they've got the right to do that, then the way they bill that is they base that on the usage charges to the citizens of the city.
Right.
That's what the charge to us for the franchise fee is based on the citizens' usage there. So then we take that exact tax rate, exactly what we're going to pay the city, and we put that on that bill that it was based on in Young Harris.
So basically,
doesn't that end up being a fairer way to pay for services? That it's a use tax, not a property tax. The other alternative is property tax, which only falls on property owners, right?
Well, if you're talking about it as a taxation to the citizens, then I'll leave that to smarter heads who talk about tax philosophies. Okay, I would point out though, as far as utility goes, Pat, we do pay tax to the city of Young Harris. We call it ad valorem tax. We don't pay a property tax, but the portion of the amount of the value of poles and wires and stuff that we've got within those city limits, we pay based on that a tax value to the city. So in essence, we pay a property tax for that. This then is a different.
But that's a pre-assessed on a value that the assessor determines your property equals.
Well,
the usage tax is based on you using that, and you have a choice of how much of that you use, right?
You're talking about it as a citizen.
Yeah.
Yes, a citizen gets to choose how much electricity they buy.
Yes.
And so yes, they've got some control over that. That's
basically they're charging the citizens of Young Harris for you to run your power through the city, right?
That's where the money will ultimately come from.
Yeah, so the citizens.
But by city, you mean citizens of the public property that the citizens own. The government doesn't own it. The citizens.
So
own
the city of they're actually the people in the city are paying. How much is it? 4%.
4% of the gross electric sales. Just in other words, electric charges only. Customer charge is not in there, but the electric sales
for the EMC to come through. Have you got time to stay? We got to take a break.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's take a quick break. Yeah. We get back. This is too much fun.
It's kind of cool stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, Rose Auto, go check them out. We love them folks. We're gonna take a break. And we'll be right back.
Warmer weather is coming, and that means you've got 50 places to go, and you're still in love with the truck that will get you there. So spring forward with accessories from Rose Auto in Blairsville.
Rose Auto.
Bed covers, towing systems, steps. Rose Auto has what you need to do it right. Just up from 515 on the Murphy Highway. Rose is the only way to get your ride to a ball game, a fishing trip, or an overnight camping trip.
Rose Auto.
Type in Rose Auto Accessories on Facebook. We're next to Mike's Seafood.
Blairsville and Murphy KFC fans. Dine in or carry out with KFC's 100% white meat nuggets. Order 5, 8, 12, or 36 piece or get them in a combo. It's finger licking good. Looking for something different? How about the Colonel's rich and creamy mac and cheese bowls? Just $5 a la carte. The nearest KFCs are in Blairsville at 369 Brackett Way, just off 515. And in Murphy at 1321 Andrews Road. Want extra cash? There's a sign-on bonus when you work with us.
Hello, this is attorney Richard Sorrell. Do your medical problems prevent you from working? If so, you may be entitled to disability benefits from the Social Security Administration, and I'm here to help you get those benefits. If you or a loved one need help with your disability case, call us at 706-745-5591. We handle disability cases all across the tri-state area, and we're conveniently located in downtown Blairsville. And there's no attorney fee if we don't win your disability case. That's 706-745-5591.
The Aviator Cafe wants you to join the crew in Blairsville. No restaurant experience is required to get started. Apply in person or online at theaviatorcafe.com or our Facebook page. The Aviator Cafe needs cashiers, cooks, dishwashers who love serving up the best meals in town. Starting pay is $10 to $15 per hour plus tips based on experience. Openings available now at the Aviator Cafe next to the Sears store on Highway 76 in Blairsville.
Honey, what happened? You're all wet.
I've been trying to find this dang leak.
Why don't we call
No, I got this.
You always turn these things into a DIY. Why did you do that? I'm calling Grayland Leak Detection Service.
Grayland has specialized equipment to pinpoint any leak, inside or underground, and fix it fast at a fraction of the cost of replacing your whole water service. Call Eric now at Grayland at 706-897-9110 or GraylandLeakDetection.com.
Finally, our water bill looks normal again.
Hello, I'm attorney David Barrett. People sometimes tell me, I don't need a will. I don't have any money. Even if that's true, the situation could change fast if you die and there's an insurance settlement. Wills are especially important for young parents with kids. Leave your loved ones your belongings, not a mess. If you don't have a will or need to update one, call 706-745-0250. That is 706-745-0250 for an appointment.
Hey fellas, you're dreaming of trailer hitches, bed covers, LED light bars, and bulbs. Not a bad gift for the missus, right? Get them at Rose Auto in Blairsville on the Murphy Highway. Rose Auto specializes in customizing your vehicle.
All righty, we're back with you. We're sitting here talking with the head honcho from the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC. Now, you've been how long have you been there?
A little over 2 years.
So how you like it so far?
Absolutely love it. I got to tell you, it's every now and then I have to pinch myself on the way in to see if I'm dreaming.
So you're the head dog over there.
Well, that just means I work for everybody. That's right.
the big kahuna.
I work for everybody there and 56,000 people beside that, and I take the blame for everything.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like that. I get the blame over here every time something goes wrong. Package like Steven did it.
That's right.
Yeah.
He probably did, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now we got Lee, so.
Yeah, if you got, Packy, he's figured out a way he can reduce his power bill, which is pretty interesting. He actually run an extension cord over to his mama's house.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant.
Her power bill's out of control.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I don't know. The thing about it, of course, you kind of neutral on this because you got no dog in the fight. You just do what they do. But I just keep thinking more tax and more tax. But now, just like I know that we got the guy from the Young Harris College coming in. It's actually going to cost him about $50,000 a year.
Yeah, I've read that estimate. As I understand it, he took his total bills and he applied the percentage to that. And is that exactly right? One of the things that's trouble, people have asked us, like, what's this going to mean revenue-wise? Well, first of all, the second it's tied to what you use, I no longer have any idea what it's going to be because that fluctuates.
Right.
We have a hot year, a cold year, or temperate year. So it's impossible to say that exactly what that is. But and the other thing that sometimes people overlook is like, okay, this is not being applied to the customer charge. So in the case of Young Harris, to apply 4% to his total bills is not exactly right. But it's probably not a bad guess.
Right.
It's probably not a bad guess.
That's
in the way
a good
things
chunk
go.
of change.
And then
Hey,
the other
Alan?
thing, yes, sir.
Alan, I got a question. How badly has inflation impacted the EMC?
That's a great question, Pat. Let me.
I mean, it's
let me
had
give
an
you a couple of
impact, correct?
ideas. Let me give you a couple of ideas. So we've all seen about the CPI indicators from the year before last were a little over 8% in terms of what the cost index does. And one of the interesting things that changed in the CPI index is they began to include housing cost in it. Historically, they didn't include the housing cost in it, but we all know what happened to the cost of housing.
Oh man, $250 per square foot.
So you might say, well, that might be a little bit inflated because of that, but even when you take out housing, still the numbers were in excess of 7. In this last year, it's been 6. Anybody that goes and buy eggs and milk at the store knows what's kind of going on with inflation. To your question, Pat, yes, we've seen, and it's a double-edged sword. There's the normal inflationary figures, but they're being driven by 2 additional factors. One thing is the lack of availability. So the whole supply and demand issue. Certain things like, I've said transformers because it's a subject near and dear to my heart. Number one, you absolutely got to have them. We can't do this business without it. The second thing about them is the factories, there's a limited number of manufacturers, and they have labor issues, and they did have steel issues. All that's meant short supply. We found ourselves going and harvesting unused transformers off the system. Now, that's got a healthy aspect to it. It's also got a difficulty aspect to it. But we've lived through the shortages up to now. But when we could get our hands on transformers, Pat, we've paid as much as 50 to 60% over. 50 to 60%. That's just one item on the thing. Then as everything else, I mean, the rates that we pay to certain contract services, we've seen those go up. And we try to relieve our personnel's pain from inflation a little bit. By no means our raises have not kept step with inflation. We're several points behind that, but some relief there. So all that means is, yes, inflation does impact that, and the simple fact, as far as margin goes, in over 11 years, we've not had any rate action to affect Blue Ridge's income in a long time, and inflation is whittling away at that. And we've had several things that allowed us to forestall rate increases for quite a while, but there's a time and a day coming that we're going to have to do something. But it's
so it would be safe to say that most of the businesses in your service area are experiencing the same thing, and that would include the counties and the municipalities, correct?
I don't. It's hard to conceive of any business entity that's not being impacted by inflationary pressures. I mean, you got to pay labor and you got to get stuff to work with.
I do know when we turn the electric stills on over there, our meter outside is just going around and around and around. You have to grease the wheel.
Hey man, put a magnet on top of it.
Well,
yeah, put a magnet on top of it.
So while you said that joking, one of the things though is one of the things that's helped us to not have to do things on the rates is this growth.
Right.
The more people that we've got paying in on keeping the operating system has allowed us to forestall any type of thing on that. So we've been the beneficiaries of a few things like that I'll share this with you. Where most places, most utilities suffered from COVID because businesses shut down, things like that. If you'll stop and think about it, Blue Ridge was the beneficiary of that. We did a couple things. First of all, we don't have any great big industries here that negatively impacted us by shutting down.
Right.
Hospital, things like that, they keep right on chugging. Matter of fact, their business went up. The other thing is these secondary homes, vacation homes, that would sit there and be dormant and not use anything, i.e. there's very little revenue coming in off that, then people came from Atlanta or wherever and came here to work. That meant the average use, I didn't have to pay for another transformer. Blue Ridge didn't have to go build another pole. It was already there. So no additional investment, and yet the revenue began to come in from those people that came down here. So we benefited from that for a couple of years during that pandemic thing. We might be seeing that ease just a least little bit, but not much. We're still maintaining a higher average than what we've had pre-COVID on that. So that's allowed us to get through some of these tough times.
Well, that's good. I don't, that's something I want to touch on before we get going. I was on the board of directors over there for the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC before y'all fired me. And I would like to, before you get gone, I'd love to, I don't miss it other than the pool. I'd like to get, if I could get keys back to the pool. I miss the pool. The sauna, not so much.
I'll talk to some of the guys and see if we can't blow it back up.
There you go. So but I just, the sauna, I don't care for that much.
It takes a couple of boys to inflate that thing by mouth. But
there you go. I know how that is. One of the biggest things though that we always had was the customer charge. Everybody, what the heck is a customer charge? And we actually talked about changing it to where it'd be more of explaining what a customer charge is. And what it's designed to do. Can you I don't know if y'all still hitting that or not, but we
do that, and it's split out on your bill so you can see it.
Right.
We try to be very transparent about it. But here's an interesting thing. Everybody kind of understands it. When you look at what it costs you to run your business, you can kind of itemize everything in one of two characters. There are costs that are just fixed. I got them no matter what.
Right.
And then you got costs that are variable based on how much that you use. Well, if you think about it, your cooperative, it's all a fixed cost. It takes what it takes for us to have personnel and materials. It really doesn't matter what you use. The only thing that changes is what we pay TVA.
Right.
Okay, that's the variable piece of the deal. So in terms of the revenue that the co-op gets, and this is where it's a little hard to explain to folks because they're looking at their whole bill and they're like, brother, I don't care if TVA gets the money or y'all gets money. It's money.
Right.
That's where our members are. But the simple fact is, something like 70 cents out of every dollar that we take goes to TVA.
Right.
That's where that goes. So at any rate, on the co-op side, then you got a couple of choices. Philosophically, it's like, okay, I could take all of the money that we need and put it as a margin on kilowatt hours. Now that would mean the more you use, the more you're going to pay.
Right.
If you don't use anything, you don't pay nothing. Now the injustice of that is that I got the same meter and poles and transformer serving your house that doesn't use anything as I've got running this house who's got poor insulation and they have to pay more for their heating and air and all that stuff. So there's an inequity that's kind of built there. It's particularly underscored when you've got a lot of vacation homes that aren't used. It's like, okay, is that a fair type of thing? So you look for something in the middle. One way to do that is say, okay, on the Blue Ridge portion of the bill, we can allocate. So we're going to get a certain amount per customer. I don't care what you use. That's a customer charge. That's what that is. Then we reduce the margin on the kilowatt hours. So in other words, you don't get it twice.
Right.
So you reduce that margin over there, and you balance it out. So there's a little bit to, no, there's a certain amount you're going to pay because you got to pay your part on poles and wires. There's the other part that we'll try to allocate it out based on what you use. And there's some justice for that. If you got to have a bigger service wire because you're that much bigger, so you try to find that middle road on the thing. But I'll tell you this, in at least on the residential level, when you're talking about the rates, then it seems that the most just way to do any kind of adjustments is to put that on that customer charge so that it's being spread fairly and equally across the members on that day. So is that a decent explanation?
Yeah, that's pretty much the way it is. So it's just itemized out to where among all the members. And like I say, you've got. But anyway, Packy keeps saying we got to take a break. We got to take a break. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes. We'd like to thank Rose Auto. So y'all hang in there.
Warmer weather is coming, and that means you've got 50 places to go, and you're still in love with the truck that will get you there. So spring forward with accessories from Rose Auto in Blairsville.
Rose Auto.
Bed covers, towing systems, steps. Rose Auto has what you need to do it right. Just up from 515 on the Murphy Highway. Rose is the only way to get your ride to a ball game, a fishing trip, or an overnight camping trip.
Rose Auto.
Type in Rose Auto Accessories on Facebook. We're next to Mike's Seafood.
If you've been injured, you don't need to go to Atlanta or Gainesville to find a lawyer. The law office of Daniel Duello specializes in accident cases and is based in Blairsville. I used to defend insurance companies and saw their attempts to pay less through pressure and delays. Now I want to use that experience to help you get treated fairly. Just search for Daniel Duello or call 706-603-3036 and I'll see you in Blairsville. It's 706-603-3036.
The weather may be uncertain, but it's never a bad time for a good cookout. And there's only one place in the mountains to fire one up. Hiawassee Hardware on Main Street. See Hiawassee Hardware right now for grills, griddles, and more to keep the good times rolling, like the Spirit gas grills or the kettle grills. And walk out with all the charcoal you'll ever need at Hiawassee Hardware, your store for making great meat and memories. And a whole lot more.
General Supply in Blairsville is your source for farm, feed, seed, and garden supplies in the 5-county area. Don't miss propane tank refill specials every Friday. Spring and summer plant arrivals are in now and coming in daily. Hardwood trees, evergreens, shrubs, fruit trees, and vegetable plants. We are also your one-stop shop for garden soils, fertilizers, and all garden supplies. Step back in time where old-fashioned service is our motto at General Supply, 764 Gainesville Highway in Blairsville, 706-363-1000.
Looking for buying or selling real estate in the mountains? The Rick Andrews Real Estate Team is here to help. Our team of experts will guide you through the real estate process in the Northeast Georgia, Western North Carolina mountains from the moment you inquire until our last meeting. We're here to make buying and selling a rewarding experience. Visit callrickandrews.com to see our listings or call the Rick Andrews Real Estate Team at 828-557-9139. 828-557-9139.
Those pesky mosquitoes bothering you again? Well, let the experts at American Pest Control help. Their No Mosquito program can help protect you and allow you to enjoy your yard again. Call American Pest Control and take back your yard this spring. In fact, trust the experts at American Pest Control to provide you with excellent pest management all year long. Call to schedule your free inspection and protect your biggest investment, your home. That's American Pest Control, 706-782-4113.
The weekend is getting closer, and a trip to Bell Mountain or the lake is always a possibility. Make sure your truck is accessorized by Rose Auto in Blairsville. Bed liners, LED lights, and more. You want to be a pickup man? Do it with Rose Auto in Blairsville. The only way to go.
All right, we're back with you. Packy, take it away, brother.
All right, we got some Beach Boys tickets to give away right now. 706-379-9770. Lee, get that mashup ready, because if you are the first caller to call in and get this mashup right, you get your name in the hat to win $97.70 coming tomorrow, and you're going to get a pair of Beach Boys tickets right now. But you got to get this mashup right. 706-379-9770. Go.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. Don't your feet get cold in the wintertime? Lived a girl that I swear to the world made the alligators look tame.
Oh, that should be easy, because that's the same one we played yesterday.
But nobody got it yesterday.
Oh, they didn't get it?
No.
Really?
All right, Lee, we got to do this quick. So
Oh,
if
well,
they don't know it,
he's
then
on the
hang
phone.
up on them.
Yeah. Pat, you there?
So how are you?
I'm here, Stephen.
How you do it?
Alan had to pull a pin. He had to be at a meeting here in about 30 minutes. So anyway, but
Well, we appreciate all the time he was able to give us. It was a good interview.
Oh, he's a good guy. Yep, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a Tennessean.
Yeah,
he's
good.
a Tennessean. And you just pick up the phone and you say, hello there. We're having a little trouble here with the technical issues of the phone.
Phone's going off, the music's going off, and everything's going on.
Yeah, yeah. How about that? But anyway, we got Beach Boys tickets to be played. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's unreal. That all that goes on with your power, you just don't understand.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah. And another thing, like when they build to your house and this, that, and other, in the mountains, it's straight up and straight down.
Mm-hmm.
You get down South Georgia, it's just flat and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, no big deal with that.
Yeah.
So
Plus,
I
it's
thought
the
it was cool.
density issue. Down South Georgia, they're closer together.
right.
And, here we've got all that separation, all that
I like the
topography
separation,
to deal
though,
with.
man. I like the separation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
So, I think we need to shut the doors. We got somebody put.
Nope, nobody on there yet.
Nope.
Phone
Not
line's
so
still
far.
open. If you know that mashup, you got a minute to call. 706-379-9770. We'll continue this on after the show into my show. So,
You got a show after this, Pat?
yeah, 9 to noon.
Well, I'll be there.
That's when most people listen, Tommy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you gotta. Yeah.
Gee whiz, man.
You heard his prestige now, man. Yeah. Oh, Lordy. Hey, Pat, I know y'all are all excited yesterday. We were talking about Martha Stewart on Sports Illustrated swimwear.
Yeah, it's
I
about
saw
time we
that.
get into
Yeah.
my era, right?
Yeah, she's talking about posing in Playboy.
Woo.
All right.
Did you say you?
I said,
Ooh.
woo.
Oh, you went woo. I thought you went ooh.
I'm
saw that.
signing up for a subscription.
Ooh. That's one time he said ooh. Ooh. Oh, Lord.
Just wait until you get a little more miles on you, Tommy, and then you won't be going, ooh.
No, I think she's a pretty good looking girl myself.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's at what, 81 years old?
81, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's hope for us seniors yet.
Yeah. Isn't her and Snoop Dogg, are they?
Yeah, they getting married.
Are they?
Yeah,
They're
old
kind of
Snoop.
engaged.
Huh?
Yeah.
All right,
They're kind of engaged.
We've got a
yeah.
caller on there. We only got about
Who we got?
45 seconds left. So
We got Sue Livingston.
All
this
right,
morning.
Sue, name them tunes.
One of them
Turn her
was
on.
Hope Salad
Hello.
Annie.
Hey, Sue.
Hey,
Sue. Sue.
hello?
Oh, well, we're out of time. We'll have to try that again tomorrow, I guess.
Have to go on the Packy show.
Yeah,
I guess,
it's a
now.
package show. Okay, whatever. Hey, Pat, we didn't get to read the comments on YouTube. We'll try to catch them up tomorrow. Pat, thanks so. And we
All
have
right.
got the big guy from the college, Young Harris College, is going to be here tomorrow. What's his name? Doc something.
Dr. Van Horn.
Van Horn. He's
Van
going to be
Horn.
here. Yep. And
he's a
discuss
doctor.
more.
You check
He's a
out that thing
doctor.
on your leg.
And he's running.
Yeah.
He's a doctor and he's running a college? I believe I'd be a doctor. Anyway,
Yeah.
Tommy, thanks, man. We